Good morning, Carl. Let's bring in Carlos Tavares, the CEO of Stellantis, joining us from the company's Investor Day in Paris, France. Carlos, we'll talk about your outlook in a second and a huge expectation in terms of the increase in revenue by 2030. But we want to start with what's happening in Ukraine and in Russia. You've got staff in Ukraine. So the first question is, A, what's the status of your staff in Ukraine? And secondly, as these sanctions are being put in place on Russia, how much pressure is that putting on the supply chain for the auto industry and for Stellantis in Europe?
You're right. That's a very serious issue. Since last Thursday, we have set up a specific task force to support and keep a tight connection with our 71 Ukrainian employees. Up to this morning, things looked okay, but since the middle of the day, we are not getting contact with 3 of them. So we are trying to establish the contact by the hour with 3 of those 71 Ukrainian employees. We have done a second thing, which is to set up a specific task force to digest, understand, and translate into business decisions all the sanctions that have been decided by Europe and by the United States. So we are implementing those sanctions in a timely and highly rigorous manner. And third, we have decided to set a specific fund to help the refugees from this war and make sure that they get an appropriate support from us. Those are the 3 things we have done, and we will continue to monitor the situation by the hour with a strong focus and a strong concern about keeping our people healthy and safe.
Carlos, you have a small manufacturing facility in Russia, generated about $22 million last year. A lot of people are looking at that and other plants from other companies in Russia and saying, why not shut it down? Why keep it running? Why not just shut it down?
Well, anyway, you know that the logistic flow is now extremely difficult. I assume that will happen at one point in time, just because the logistics are not operational. So that will most probably happen. At this stage, I think that our role as a corporation is twofold. First, take care of our people. Secondly, execute the sanctions that have been decided by the political leaders. And third, help the refugees. This is exactly what we are doing. And whatever the business consequences, we'll execute all the sanctions that have been decided, and that may have an impact on our business in Russia. That is going to be anyway small compared to the business size of our company. But of course, we will not hesitate to do it if the sanctions reach that point and if the logistics do not allow us to keep on supporting those operations.
Let's talk about the broader business, Carlos. In your investor update today, you guys have targeted doubling your revenue by 2030, and a big part of that will be the transition into electric vehicles. But you said just last week that the move to electrification is going to cost your production costs are going to go up anywhere from 40 to 50%. How much of that will you be able to pass along to to the customers? Because that's a huge bite in terms of the cost equation here.
You are absolutely right, and that's not new. We have been communicating on that theme now for several years, expressing the fact that there will be a big challenge for the automotive industry to absorb through additional productivity those 50% of additional cost. This is no news. And of course, we understand that we cannot pass this enormous amount to the final customer because he will not be able to afford that kind of additional pricing. That means that we need to do our homeworks over the next 5 years and absorb those additional costs through a very strong focus on cost reduction. This is what we expressed today here in Amsterdam to the investors in terms of reducing the transformation cost in our plants, reducing the distribution cost, reducing the costs of everything we buy to our partners. So all of this is going to be contributing to reducing this 50% additional cost of electrification for protecting the affordability that we absolutely need to deliver to our middle classes.